Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome, everybody. Okay, Natasha, take it away. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. So what's going on is that we've been talking and doing things, but we've been getting echoing. So there's something going on, and Mercury's in retrograde right now. So technology is having a heyday, and I've heard many people saying that things are problematic. So we're in Life Between Lives. And Regen Forsten is here to do the hypnotherapy talk and that kind of thing. And I don't think, Regen, that we're going to echo. It's just if Kevin's unmuted, then we're going to have. Yeah. And, this is the way that this Monday started out was, I lost some, oh, he's going to go away. I lost some papers and about 3 weeks ago, found my papers this morning where I already checked 3 times. Lost my glasses this morning, forgot my tag to let me get into school, and my water bottle. So it's been one of those Mondays where I've heard many people saying they're discombobulated. And that's just the word I'm going to use today is discombobulated. And, it's just one of those things. So I guess Kevin's going to give it to us.
Yeah, and I have no idea why I only have a black background. Whatever's supposed to be working isn't working. So that's a first for me. So I'm like, it's like I'm out in space somewhere.
Yeah, and he just messaged us that he's going to stay off this time and he'll just be in the background, just kind of doing the work he's doing, and that's and sometimes Kevin, I know, feels like that Regen and I can just hold the show down.
Come on, Kev.
So Regen, we with all this technology stuff.
Yeah.
Regen and I love to answer questions, and I can see, I don't know if Regen you can, but I can see the posts that come up, because I go into the regular comments. And, so if you want to talk to us, get questions, we love this interaction, because as we talk about life in between lives, if you've noticed that we talk about things like emotions, soul walk, soul talk, and the thought came to me, it's that journey of the soul is what we basically want to talk about. And maybe that's what we should name this, is the journey of the soul, because it's not about this lifetime. It's not about that lifetime. It's about what we're doing with this lifetime, which includes many lifetimes.
Right.
And I know that me being a medium, intuitive personal awareness coach, and I kind of have a quick doorway to past lives and, what's been going on in the story of people's lives, that we kind of do this work. And I know that that you, Regen, you do amazing work with your hypnotherapy and, becoming more aware of how to interact with those journeys. And it's just amazing how when we tap into our past lives, it's amazing where we can go with finding out how to navigate our personal lives better.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that?
Yeah. Like I have this saying, like, how do you know where you're going unless you know where you've been? Because some people think, well, if I go and have a past life regression, some people just do it for giggles, like, oh, is this really true or not? And sometimes that opens their eyes and they go, oh my gosh, I think this really is true. And they start taking it seriously. But there's a lot of benefits to having a past life regression, and the fact that it's so easy to do. It's I would say, at least with my clients, it's over 90-something% easily. In a deep state of relaxation is all that I do, is get them to this deep state of relaxation, kind of like that feeling like just before you fall asleep. But I keep them there, and then everybody seems to have this ability, like we're just born that way. I was thinking of it seems like we're just discovering, Natasha, that when we're born, we're actually like 50% physical and 50% metaphysical. And people are just realizing that God's intent, I think, was for us to wake up to this, that just because we're in this physical body during the day that other half of our consciousness can be in tune with the other side to try to help us make the right decisions, to kind of, it's like having a coach in your backseat of your car all day, you know, and, you know, like you're starting to make a decision, the coach is saying, you sure you really want to do that? You know, what can happen? What happened the last time you made a decision like that? Wasn't that kind of difficult? You know, you had to pay all those fines for turning where you shouldn't turn. You sure you want to do that? Whereas before we were aware of that, we just make these choices and everything. And then we go, oh, should have listened to my inner self. I should have listened to that little voice over here. You know, so I think the wall is getting closer now, Natasha. I mean, I feel it with myself anyway, in this work that I'm doing, and just see how easy my clients just access that other part of themselves. It's just awesome. So I think we're heading a new age right now, don't you? You know?
We are in the, you know, okay, so me going back to a past life that I had, that, you know, we've come from many different timelines on this planet, actually. And there's one time when we were very attuned to being able to be. And, you know, there's many of our children who are on the spectrum, I'm going to say, autistically done, or they are specially born. I'm just going to call them specially born because they're very special beings. But, you know, they're coming from the past life where we used to not speak on this planet. We used to be telepathic. You know, and that's when Lemuria was there, and different things like that we've had these times when we were more spiritual. And then we decided for some reason that we got too big for our own selves, I think, in a way that I can't put it in words, but that's basically what it feels like to me, is that we got too big for our own selves, being the humans that we were. And then we had to kind of, I don't want to say start all over again, but kind of basically start all over again, because it was like that, you know, just like we do in every lifetimes. It's the evolution of just restarting. You know, we do this constantly. How many times in our lives do our brain cells turn over and start again? You know, how many times in the cells in our bodies start over and do it again? And I know different brain cells and different cells, you know, do it at different timelines, but it's amazing how much in our life starts over.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to know, is we can start over anytime.
Yeah. And that's what, when I do these between life sessions where people are maybe watching for the first time, it's just when people go into a past life, they see themselves pass away. And then afterwards, we always ask, okay, what was your lesson within that lifetime? And they always can tell you. They'll say, oh, I had to learn to do this, or I had to learn to do that. Well, then they can go beyond there. Like there's usually a guide or an angel there that was there with them when they passed away. And they can actually follow them to the place that they go between lives, which is people call heaven and the afterlife, you know, whatever you call it. And then while they're there, they can get all kinds of questions and things answered. Now, like when you're working with Natasha, she kind of goes there for you in a way and can see things and can answer the things that way. So what Natasha and I do is just two different ways of accessing information that'll help you in this life. But, you know, unless you do something with that information, then why even call Natasha? Why even come to me? You know, because it's all about change. I had a session this last week, Natasha, that went 7.5 hours. Oof. You know, I had the person on the other side for 7.5 hours. Well, actually 2.5 hours was getting to know her. She had a very complicated life. But once over there was so much that she needed to do. So when I'm doing the session, it's physically, emotionally draining, especially when you haven't eaten or something in 7 hours, you know. So I had to just keep focusing on, you know, on her issues. To her, it was easy because when you're in trance, there's no time in a way.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, that when they come out, they go, I'll say, one question I ask them is, how long do you think that you were under? And they'll go, oh, an hour. And I'll go, look at your watch. And they go, oh my God, I've been under for 4 hours, you know, because there's no time or space over there. So it's kind of cool. So I have to really, but I'm lucky in the fact that something's given me the stamina to keep that focus for that long. And when I'm done, I'm kind of like this, you know, like afterwards, it's like my physical body's tired. But there's the information you give there, because the council, like people get to go before council over there. And the first thing when I say council, people think of what it says in the Bible, where you're going to go before the judges. And the way we take that is we're going to go over there, and every wrong thing we did, they're going to spank us or put us in hell or do something like that. Instead, it's like having a team of wise men, of these elders that know so much more, because they've been there, done that way before we have. And they give you the best advice, and they'll just tell you, maybe you should look into forgiving that person that you want to kill, or something like that. I mean, what they tell you, then when they come out of that, it's up to the person to do with that information, what they will. Just like Natasha, you've probably, when you've told someone about a past life, sometimes, and they get maybe some, aha, wow, that's kind of carried over into this life, and sometimes it's not always what they want to hear, right? Because that means that they have to do some work if they want to kind of correct their life a little bit.
Well, yes, like there's an experience where someone I know that she's afraid of, she doesn't like water. She doesn't like water on her face. She doesn't like anything like that. And I always start out with the session saying, remember, your truth is your truth. I would just like to give you a perspective, kind of like, starting or updating a computer. Sometimes we just need to integrate it just a little bit so that we can navigate with it. And like I told her about a past life, and I said, now what I want you to do is not go into, I want you to be free of going into the fear and the angst of what happened. So if you're, let's say, if someone is afraid of snakes, let's say they're very afraid of snakes, and I can see them in a pit of snakes where they were, because they were a slave and they did the wrong thing, and they were in that lifetime where somebody threw them in the pit of snakes. And so now they have a really big fear of snakes. Well, I asked them to know that that is the reason maybe why they passed, but that does not, if you can be free of navigating through the snake this lifetime, because, and I tell them the mantra, what's was is was, what's now is now. I'm free from the angst and the energy of that past life. Now I have the knowledge of what that past life was to teach me.
Yeah.
So I kind of do a mantra like that, and I ask them to kind of work with that mantra. What was is was. I'm free from the angst and the energy of that. I am moving forward into this knowledge with the wisdom. So then I ask them to practice. Let's say maybe look at a picture of a snake for just 1 second. Close the book. Then practice again. Two more seconds. Close the book. So practice getting past this angst that they have in this lifetime because of a past life. Now, if they've had something that has happened, like my mother had a cousin who chased her with snakes. So it reset in what happened in a past life. That takes a little different work. And that's where you're like, I love the tapping that you do. I do the tapping too. When somebody has a meditation with me, and we go in and do some soul work and that kind of thing, I do have them tap wherever I get told to tap. And with that as I do that work, as we come in and do that work, it's tapping in the new knowledge that they have. And I'm not necessarily in one place or the other where that is. And welcome back, Kevin. And
you said snakes. Snakes.
Hey, great.
I hate snakes.
No echo. That's great.
So it's one of those things that as we go through life and that kind of thing, that the things are workable. It's just practicing to get out of it. Like the water thing. I said, just try, putting water on a wash tray and rubbing over your face once.
Yeah.
And then maybe just taking it and washing and then drying it. Just start breaking the example of what that past life stopped you from doing, and just move forward into it and start the process of practicing out of what that life tried to teach you.
Yeah. And sometimes when people go to a past life and they see where something originated from, some fear or phobia, that in itself sometimes is enough for that phobia just to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like somehow they have this higher understanding, and once that happens, what I did is I've got a little page here that I wrote down that are some of the benefits of having a past life, and because I always forget some of these, but what we were just talking about, here's one thing. It says clearing trauma is the most common aspect of healing in a past life regression. By reliving the experience through a session, one can let go of the past traumas and move on from them. So that's what we were just talking, and for some of those that don't, like, the suggestions, like you were saying, of like immersion therapy, just a little bit at a time. We were taught in hypnotherapy school, like someone was afraid of spiders. So in hypnosis, when they're that way, we have them imagine a real little tiny spider just, on the wall, way far away from them. And we tell them, and we keep moving it closer to them, or the spider keeps getting bigger. And then we have them move we say, okay, when the fear level gets too great, move your finger. And then what we do is then we back it off, and then we go just slowly again. And so each time they're able to go a little further before their finger goes up, saying it's bothering them. And then maybe in the next session, it comes in a little further. So, that's one way. And of course, tapping is the other way of doing the tapping, which sometimes, fixes it right away. Okay, the other thing is, it says profound grounding and affirmation. That just the aspect of realizing that you've lived before is so profound for some people, and they see that their life is it's just another lesson that they're in this lifetime for, and it just all of a sudden they go, wow, I'm much bigger than I thought I was. I thought I was only this 50 years or 30 years, but gosh, I'm thousands of years of wisdom, One said, and it says here, relief from mental and emotional symptoms such as stress, anxiety, fear, and phobias. Many times after a past life regression, symptoms like these go away immediately with no recurrence. That's what we were just talking about. And then it gives you a more in-depth understanding of current life challenges. The past often holds the root of our problems. By acknowledging and extending forgiveness to our past selves, and current selves can experience immense growth. So, sometimes people see things that aren't so nice that they, in other words, in a past life. And Natasha, when you're doing that too, do you have to kind of sugarcoat that a little bit, or do you just say, oh my gosh, I see you doing this in a past life, something very shocking, to their current self?
Well, what I do is that I try to preset it up. That I hear that you're working on some trauma that you have. So what I can see is that this lifetime, maybe that lifetime, that there's been a couple lifetimes where you've had some shorter lives because of different things happening that, and I can say, if you're interested in hearing that, that one time that somebody, ended your life for you, another one that you ended up falling off a cliff, and different things like that. So I don't necessarily go into I set it up.
Okay.
And then I move into it. And then if I see their body language tightening up, that's where I stop. If I feel like that they can move past that, we go into a little bit. And I also set it up saying, hey, do you have, with this drama, remember, I'm bringing this awareness up for you so that you know that it's not stemmed from now.
Okay.
That it's not stemmed from now. This is something that's come from past life. I'm giving you this information so you know where to put it in yourself. And then we move on to that. So it depends on the person. Like Sue, I can just name it and claim it because we've worked together. She's done the work. She knows where to put it. She doesn't take it personally. Sometimes she has to do a little personal work with it, but she doesn't take it personally. Oh, crap, I was done. Oh, no. And then holding on to it. It's, okay, that happened then. Let's move forward. Let's do the work. And then as things move forward, that we kind of do that, because some people take things very personally. oh crap, that happened to me. Now they go into the trauma of it. But that happened then. So I kind of see where people sit, depends on how I give the information. Because you can't just lay it on somebody's lap and then go, oh, they're not going to be worried about it, and then they have nightmares about it again. You know what I mean? You have to kind of see where somebody is.
Yeah, I think luckily it seems like most of the people for me that come to do this kind of work are pretty aware souls already. So I tell them, I says, well, you may see something that's not easy to look at of some behaviors that you had that might have been, you might have done some bad things. And it says, but you have to remember that was then, and look how far you've come now. Like in this life, that's not you at all. And most of them, they're able to handle that pretty easily, so, but forgiving themselves again, too, it's kind of nice if they did that. And in a way, they can kind of, with a prayer or something, they can forgive themselves, just like if you're a kid and you did some bad things, or a teenager, most of us as adults, we've got the big overview and realize we just weren't so aware back then. And we pretty much forgive ourselves, for things that happened. So, just one of those things.
But that's the thing, though, that when we realize that we're not the only ones. So I put up somebody that, like, if I see that they're working through something that maybe it was a past life that they chose at that time to learn the lessons of being a murderer. Well, I say that, somebody had to be a Hitler in one life. Somebody had to be the mass murderer. And, I even had moments where I was a lifetime of a murderer. And I'm sorry, but this is one that you're kind of working through some of those emotions. So I kind of lead them in so that they're not necessarily feeling like they're the only one that's doing it. Now, like I said, this is depending on the personality, depends on how I lay this into them and onto them. Because there is these I really respect and honor someone. How do I leave them? How, when they walk out of my place, I'm not responsibility. I don't have the responsibility, but I have the respect and the honor that I have shifted something in their life. And I just don't want to have them fall on their face when they walk out. It's like, I want to have some kind of tool to give them to navigate through okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see how we're working through that. And a lot of times that's where we do a small meditation and go into a chakra and do some work with that chakra to bring up some of the other things that go on. So it's it's a session with me too, that it's everything gets woven together and not one piece is the key to everything. It may be the door to walk us into working through something that's been, the shame or the hate and the fear of things or that kind of thing.
Yeah. In a session I did recently, before I forget, I was just going to say another example. I think we mentioned a number of programs ago, but there was a man who was working at this corporation, and they had a new man that was hired. And when that new man walked in and was introduced to everybody, he couldn't understand why he felt towards this person. He didn't even know him. This man walks in, all of a sudden he's going, oh my God, something of this hatred came up in him towards this man. But he was a spiritual person, so he found out in researching, and he did a past life, and he found out that man had actually buried him alive in a past life.
Mm-hmm.
It was back in this life, okay? So he felt really angry and everything, but of course, being a spiritual man, he took it further. And in another past life regression, he found out where he had actually killed that man in a very brutal way in the lifetime before that one. So that was a huge aha moment for him to realize this, this karmic thing of this, I kill you in this lifetime and I got to repay it. I come back and kill you. He kills me, I kill you, you kill me, and because he had grown spiritually, he decided that this is going to stop. So he made that decision. He no longer felt that about the man. They actually became friends. He never told the other man about what was going on, but he said it felt really good to realize he'd come that far, to realize that he had grown in awareness, that he was going to not carry on that karma, and have it, because he just knew it would just keep going. until one of them decided to stop.
Exactly. Well, I know I've done that with my husband, that we've had many lifetimes where we've done something to one another, and I just said, this is the lifetime we're going to stop it. I'm done. I'm cutting the cord. We're starting a whole new contract together. We're starting a whole new grace together. I am personally done with this. Well, that's about the time he started becoming sober. That's the time that things really started shifting for us. And without that recognition of saying, I'm done, let's move forward.
Yeah.
And being able to do the work of seeing the patterns that circle around. Wait a minute, this feels familiar. Usually we end up in a big argument. I think I'm going to stop this circling around right now and just kind of say, I know you're upset. I'm upset. Let's take a moment.
Yeah.
And it just takes somebody to be observant, plus or minus. It's just one of those things that it's just called being human and doing the better we can in the moment that we have.
Yeah. Another thing it says here too, having a past life regression helps you to, it's a release of limiting thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
The experience is extremely powerful and allows you to remove barriers to your own inner peace. The challenges in your life become viewed as lessons to learn, as stepping stones instead of roadblocks, and you realize that it's just, all the problems you have now, it's part of your journey and your evolutionary journey, to learn things. So, and I think in any of the spiritual, the biggest thing that people can do to help them in their spiritual walk is to stop being victim, to have consciousness that just holds you back, that keeps you in your destructive patterns. It keeps you in the rabbit hole in a sense, and when you start looking at everything that happens as a chance to learn something or a lesson that you haven't learned, and that's why you're fusing to this particular problem, it's a total game changer. And people have to realize that you have the choice to decide, which way you want to look at things. So why not, look at things in the healthiest way instead of the worst way. Sometimes for people to come to me for regular therapy, all I do is I just have them reframe the way they look at something, and just the fact that they reframe and they haven't thought of it in that way, they go, oh, maybe my wife is being mean to me because of, oh yeah, maybe I'm not the victim here. Maybe, they kind of look at their own self and their own behavior patterns, and then it's like walking in someone else's shoes for a while, then you stop complaining, and you say, oh, maybe my wife's just trying to help wake me up, instead of, because the natural tendency of people is to slay the messenger. That's why I was wondering, like Natasha, sometimes, it's like you're just the messenger in what you see, and it's up to the people to deal with the information that you give them. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, because I have heard of mediums that get, death threats even, they have some of these TV shows and stuff. Mm-hmm. And all they're doing is saying, look, I'm just the messenger here. People have to, like when I play poker, sometimes I laugh inwardly sometimes at some of these people, and they'll yell and scream at the poker dealer for the cards that they got, and they'll say, this is a horrible dealer. I'll never sit at a table with this dealer again. And all the dealers, it's like the mailman comes and gives you a bill that you don't want, and you yell and scream at him as he's walking away. You're a bad guy. Why'd you give me this? You and I are both just messengers here,
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I am respectful of, is that I am the messenger. And that's why I really respect people's life. And I hold as little judgment as anybody can possibly do, because if they're doing something in this lifetime, I've known I've done it in another lifetime. So how can I judge that? How can I judge somebody for doing something that I've already done? They're again walking in somebody else's shoes. And as we do that, so that's where I always start out with your truth is your truth, because I'm just here to give a different perception. And sometimes we have to put it in our back pocket, I say, and wear it around for a little while to let it wear on us, to get us moving. And that's where my team always said, Natasha, you have a way of giving information coming through the back door. It's like you lay it out there so people go, oh, instead of, And I see when people start doing this, and I ask that, and I bring it up. I say, like if somebody has let's say a guarded teenager in front of them, their old self that used to be a teenager. Well, they have a guarded teenager. I ask that teenager to step aside so it can be a witness for our conversation. I'm not asking it to leave so it doesn't stand in judgment and fear that I'm going to knock it off its pedestal, but just to the side to see a different perception so that the teenager can be the young adult that is sitting in front of me. Instead of back being the judgmental teenager. And many times when that teenager starts hearing, oh yeah, I guess I've kind of been doing that a lot, haven't I? And I can see that teenager kind of not necessarily slinking back in shame. That's not at all what I intend to do. It's that bringing it forward so that it becomes more empowered instead of being powerful. There's a difference in being empowered instead of powerful. And so that work is about, the work that you do is about bringing people up to be more empowered in their life. And with knowledge, because knowledge is something that once you have it, people can't take it away. The only one that can take it away is our brain functions, and that saddens me so much. But yet at the same time, though, nobody can take away our minds because of the fact that our knowledge is power. And the more we know about ourselves, doesn't it make sense that we can be more well-rounded? And that's my intention, is to just help someone just be a little bit more of, I can relax a little bit more in myself now. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, for people watching too, people are wondering, well, because I was always confused about it. Like, how does the past life regression work when you go to a hypnotherapist? And it's much more simple than your mind can make it. Basically, I just have people, we talk a little bit, I get to know them. They lay back and kind of get relaxed. And all I do is I take them through the process of something they do every day, and that's to fall asleep at night. In other words, I'll have them take their shoes off because, when you go to sleep, you're not wearing shoes when you're in bed. I'll put a little blanket over them, so your subconscious is going, oh, these are the steps we do when we're relaxing. These are the steps that we do when we're going to go to sleep. And then I just have them try to have them focus on one thing instead of 20 things. That's why sometimes you'll see, in movies and stuff, the hypnotist always has like he says, follow the watch, or look at something. They found out that when your mind is focused on something, singularly focused, it's 8 times easier to relax, 8 times easier to fall asleep. That's why people sometimes count sheep, or count backwards from 100 back, because when you're concentrated on something, it allows your body to just let all the other thoughts leave, and you're just you're just focusing on one thing, and then it's easy to fall asleep. So I just take them through, I have them pay attention to any tension in their head, and I'll go 1, 2, 3. You can just feel all that tension leave. And then you can just see their body just kind of start to push into the couch beneath them, And so all I try to do is help them to get to that sleep state on cue, rather than waiting, for it to happen naturally, like when you go to bed. So once they get to that point where they're just above falling asleep, that's where all the magic happens. That's where the conscious and subconscious are kind of on par with each other. People, they just, I'll just have them imagine themselves float up in space, however they imagine that. And there's a tunnel that they see, and they float through a tunnel. And I say, we're going to count from 10 down to 1. When we get to 1, you'll be in another lifetime in another place. And people just in their mind see this tunnel they go through. I get down to 1, and I'll say, is it day or night? And they'll go, oh, it's nighttime. And I'll have them, says, look down, what's on your feet? And then they'll look down, and we just start from there, integrating them into that past life And then it kind of grows from there. And then what's fun is because there's no time or space over there, we can go forward or backward in that life. So let's say they think they're 30 something years old. At the time they come out of the tunnel, they're in this other lifetime. And then I say, well, let's explore what it was like as a child. And I'll say, 1, 2, 3, you're back with your parents having dinner when you were a child. And they're instantly there. And they'll look across and they'll go, oh my God, that's my mother in this lifetime. They'll recognize people or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that, and then we just go from there, back where they worked, go to some important events in their life, and then to the death scene. And of course, some people go, oh my God, I'm afraid of that, because so many people are afraid of death. And I just say, look, it's not if you're going through a difficult death, then I have you just leave your body and watch it from above. And then they can just watch themselves pass away, and however they did without all of any emotions involved. So, basically that's it. Now with Natasha, she'll just look up and go, oh, okay, boom, and tell you what you're about your past life.
Well, yeah, I do that. There's just a different path, because that's the thing is that I give enough image. I'm one that when I do a session with someone, my intention is if I'm getting that message, I'm going to give it to you. So if something because a lot of times I'll see a movie, sometimes I'll hear something. So I try to give the whole image of what's going on. And it does give a story about why. And then there's a conversation. My sessions are conversations. And so with that it brings out different things that they're looking for. So whoever's sitting in front of me, if they're looking for something, or, oh yeah, that kind of recognizes that as this happening in this lifetime. Okay, so then we'll go more into that story. And it's just interesting how you can kind of manage these different things that come forth, because it's all about getting tools in this lifetime. And that's what I really feel like, that this is a lifetime for many people to wake up.
Yes.
There's been many other lifetimes where we've had different scenarios of learning personal awareness, our boundaries, our financial, abundance. It doesn't always have to be about money, all these different things. This one's about saying, wait a minute, I'm more than what I think I am. I'm more than what I think I am.
Oh,
and
yes.
That's, the kids that I've been working with, I've only been working with some of these kids for 3 weeks. And I say, okay, so what does your new self know about yourself that the old self didn't know? And it's only been 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Oh, you mean, so you asked now, for people who don't know Natasha's, I'm thinking they're not coming to you for sessions, but they're in school, right?
Yes.
In other words, the school, the kids that you have there. And so you're asking them after 3 weeks, what do they know about themselves that they didn't know 3 weeks ago?
Exactly. Or I do this actually daily sometimes, because, I work with kids who have struggle with reading. And so when somebody is struggling with something, it's nice to kind of catch you up every time, saying, yeah, it's retraining the brain. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. So there's many times where it's like, okay, so what did your 3 week self? Well, I couldn't do vowels. I put R's in front of every word. I read real fast. And I said, so what does your new self know about yourself? Well, I know my vowels. I'm slowing down. Oh, my B's and D's, I'm not flipping those around so much anymore, am I? It's like, and they're becoming more empowered. And that's that whole thing about awareness with self. Like I tell the kids, unless you know the holes, where the dark spots are, you can't put light on them to bring them into a new awareness.
Yeah.
That's why I've been saying to kids, it's like, we're making flubbles. We're done making mistakes. So a flubble is like tripping over a rock. Whoops, I tripped over a rock. Well, I guess I got to watch where I walk now. It's that awareness of self, so that they can move forward into, saying, well, I made a flubble. Yeah, I had troubles. They're saying that sounding out a word, that they're making a mistake. And yet they're not making a mistake sounding out a word. They just had a flubble reading a word. They didn't do it the first time. So they did a flubble. And so they're learning to just be, but that's part of us being adults too, is that, we made flubbles in a past life. How can that better us in this lifetime so that we can move forward. And it's amazing when we recognize where we have been to where we are now. And boy, I walk up to somebody, like if I do a sessions at a fair and I see these people every 6 months, I go, wow, you've done some work, because it's in them. You can see it on them. You know, it's in their souls. It's in their energy field. And it's just, thank you for doing the work.
Yeah. So anybody watching this now, it's watching this live now, or who's seeing this in the future, just think about the wisdom that you have, and think about how you were like 1 year ago. And would you trade yourself for that old self a year ago? You know, from if you had to lose everything you've learned in the last year. And everybody says no, you know, because we're always learning. You know, you know, some people want that body they had a year ago or 20 years ago, but most people wouldn't trade it for the wisdom that they have, you know, that they've learned, the life's lessons that they've learned. So yeah, I just got my new driver's license back, and I was looking at my old driver's license, comparing the two pictures today, and I went, oh my God, you're getting old, Regan, you know. And but then I realized that old picture, they let me renew my license 3 times or something using that old picture, you know. So it was quite a while ago. So, you know, we just have to get used to that. So don't be, you know, past life regression is just information. If you have problems and everything like that, and getting some help, like having Natasha help me, or a therapist like myself that just helps you through your issues. And if you, I would say, try to find a therapist that looks at a holistic way of healing, you know, that looks at it spiritually as well as physically, so you get the higher picture. I think you're more likely to heal a lot faster, or to get a better idea of your issues, you know. In that long session that I had this week, it was interesting because her husband had died before her, died young, you know, and when she was in another lifetime, in her lifetime, she died in her 30s, and he was there. At the end of that lifetime, the guides that told her that they just flip-flopped, you know. He had the experience, he had the experience of you dying early in one lifetime, and all that he learned from having to deal with being by himself for the rest of his life. And now she's having that in it's just flip-flopped, you know, where he died early young, and now she's having to deal with all that. So, you know, you get so much, you know, so much help from a past life. But I think too, it shows you sometimes in a past life, it shows you where you were and how much you've learned and grown, you know, and you have to be happy that you go, well, gosh, I never would behave the way I did in that other past lifetime now. Or I know how to deal with grief better. I know how to deal, I know how to forgive people easier now than I did, you know. So I was looking here. Oh, well, here it says a transformation in grief and the ability to release helpless feelings around the loss of loved ones. That's one thing that, you know, you get a sense that, again, that your loved one is not dead. They're not gone. They're just in the next room, you know. And that's a huge relief for people. I've been answering questions for people on Quora this week, and a number of them had to do with children that they lost. And I think of anything that's like one of the hardest things to lose is when you're a mom and you lose a child, you know. That's very, very difficult. And some of them on there, they said, oh, I'm so glad to hear about this information, Regan, that you put there, to just know that they're just in the next room, that they're not gone forever, and that I will see them again, you know. So, you know.
There's a lot of my mediumship that a lot of the work that I've done is holding space and knowledge and communication for parents who have lost children due to suicide or due to illness or due to drugs. Like one mediumship session that I had in a group that I had 10 women and 7 of them had lost children. And I gave messages of them. And it was interesting how that there was a couple of the the children that, and some of them were adult children, so I'm just calling them children because they're the children of the people,
Right.
the mothers that I was working with. So some of these were teens, old, 20s. One was 30 years old, so they were at different ages, but they came across giving grace to all the mothers. They had messages for all the mothers.
Wow.
There's one that was an advanced soul, and actually we went through a past life that the daughter that left, I gave a couple past lives that the daughter had, and the mother goes, oh, that makes so much sense why she came in that way. Thank you, because now I know it wasn't me. It wasn't me and my parenting. I said, no, this is something that she did not let go of that past life when she came in. And so she always had this part of her that was, I don't remember the detail, but it was a stumbling effect that she just never got her footing in this lifetime because of what she was working through from a past life. And that just kind of dominoed into a moment where the right place, the right time with the wrong drug, and she never got out of it. So it's just the moment. But it was that night I felt so grateful to be a voice for these mothers who were in such pain, that it was just kind of interesting how this whole moment came forth. And it just, if anything, I can give these parents, grandparents moments to know that their children just sometimes they just vibrationally couldn't handle being on this planet, because the vibration, they were so much empaths that they just couldn't handle. And that's not an excuse for anybody to leave this world. I want to make that clear. There's always tools you can learn. And if I would have had these children ahead of time, I could have given them tools to know that their energy can be separated from the energies around them.
Yeah.
They just didn't have anybody to give them the tools to survive. And those are my other skills that I have. So I want people to know that there are tools to give yourself a chance to be not so vibrationally challenged that you just want to end it. But I didn't get to these kids, and now they're having to do the work on the other side. It's not bad work. It's just, when you leave early, there's just some other work you have to do. And I can't go into, it's a longer story than that, but
Yeah, I know we talked
it's
about
not a punishment. Yeah, it's not far from a punishment. It's just bringing awarenesses. It's just that awareness that you go into.
Yeah. So let me see if there's let's see. Oh, the other thing, having a past life regression, because people it says it helps dissolve the fear of death. Understanding that we all choose our lives on purpose and that there's no end to our energy and soul. I know when I was in my 20s and had my first big out of body experience, I was dreaming, but then I woke up in the dream and was fully aware that I was in what I considered like the afterlife or heaven. It was just from the love that I felt, and I was viewing, had this view where it was just otherworldly in a sense, and it only lasted maybe for a minute or two. But when I came back from that, I just realized I was never afraid of death after that, because there was that awareness that I'm not just this body, that I'm actually I'm actually young and good looking on the other side.
Yes.
And just I've been having people recently when I have them in the place where they go between lives, and I didn't think to ask until I was reading some of Michael Newton's work again about, he would have them, they say, if someone held up a mirror to you, describe what you look like. And this last week, this person said, oh my God, I'm this beautiful orange. I have this, he said, this red and this yellow is kind of mixing together, and I've got some blue and some white. And, as she was seeing herself as soul, which was this energy, the colored, beautiful, beautiful energy. And that's what you ultimately find, even though we've had all these other bodies, the real cool thing is to go home. And that's where we all originated from, the source. And when God created us, He created us as energy beings, and that energy can be put in anything physical. We can incarnate in any body or animal or bush or tree or rock or whatever. Energy can kind of come and kind of go depending on different things. Because when I've had people go to past life, sometimes they're not in physical form; they're in energy form. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you see that sometimes too, Natasha? Like you say, okay, I see you as a past life as some sort of energy form doing something. Mm-hmm. And that really shocks people, but it makes it more believable to people because they go, wow, okay. And they realize I'm this, the true me is this beautiful consciousness of energy.
Mm-hmm. No, I do that. And that's part of the other work I do is how many that, it's like sometimes I wake somebody up to knowing that they're angels.
Oh, wow.
It's like, I say, has your shoulder blade area been a little sore lately? And they go, yeah. It's like, I say, it's time to unfurl your wings.
Yeah.
Your wings want to come out.
Yeah.
And because that area has been feeling tight and that kind of thing. And so I have them practice that. And I go, now remember that your shoulders might be a little tense because you're unfurling something. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, though, once they get used to being worked, it's amazing what you can do with them.
Yeah. The research we're doing now, I've had a different take. It used to be this, people would say, well, angels are from heaven and they never incarnate in a body. And I've found that it's kind of true and kind of not true, because some souls in heaven, in the afterlife, they never incarnate. They're just always on the other side. Mm-hmm. They're always at home. They're doing work because there's so much else to do over there. But I have had clients who were guides or angels for people, and then they've incarnated in this lifetime because they wanted to have the experience of being human and all that entails. So I think, in a sense, it's both, right? I mean, some people stay up there and never incarnate. In other words, it's not a requisite that everybody has to incarnate in a body.
Exactly.
Soul's choice that you find,
Well, I have an understanding in the truth that I walk, that Mother Mary and Jesus don't incarnate. Now, Jesus may come back at some point, but up to this point, he does not. Yeah. Mother Mary, she did in one lifetime, and I think she did maybe in another lifetime, but she's not one that pops in and out very often. She'll show up in other ways. She's more here to separate like the angels do. Like Archangel Michael can be in more than one place because he's energy. It's like, our texts can be in more than one place at one time. When you send out a group text, it's just called energy.
Oh, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
But yet, and like Archangel Michael, he can come down and be in a body for a very short time. It's almost like channeling. He can be in a body for just a short time because he's vibrated his energy to be in our denser energy field.
Yeah.
But yet, like Gabriel and Raphael and Metatron, who's more spatial, Satron. I can't. I know what her name is, but she's more energy. She's out there. Metatron's more energy. It's more the energy of our space field, not necessarily an energy of an angel field. So there's different forms of energy for angels, and so celestial. There we go. Thank you. That she is more of space, more like the Milky Way type energy. That they kind of have these different energy fields, but yet they can dense up to have communication differently with us. But they don't come down in the body. We're too dense. But yet we do have angels that do come down, and they're more of our personal human angels. They're the ones that can become denser, like me, for instance. Mm-hmm. No ego here. Just that's part of my soul story is I'm an angel, and I've done some work as an angel in a past life. That 98% of us on this planet are angels of a form. I'm also part of the Fae community, and the star beings. And so my soul is made up of a lot of different DNAs. And so with that it just depends on what you are, depends on where you need to use it at a certain time. But we have earth angels, as they're called. They're just a little bit, they can come down and be more denser. So they do come into the human body and there's just certain people that you just know they're just angelic realm. You just walk up to them and then you go, ah, because they just have love.
Yeah. Well, see, some people and some, well, I'm thinking of the different Christian sects, the way they go, well, hey, when I pray, I'm going to the head guy, I'm not going to talk to Saint Saint Christopher. Well, Saint Christopher, I guess he got demoted. He's not a saint anymore. I forget why that was, but in the Catholic Church, they have all the saints, and people pray to the different saints, and people think that that's sacrilegious, that they should only, pray to Jesus, God, as they look at Jesus and God as one, and we're finding out that's not how it works. It's like, sure, you pray to Jesus, pray to God, everything too, but he's got a lot of helpers, In other words, it seems that the way things are laid out is that we come down and learn, we become more loving, and hopefully over lifetimes or over time, we become more God-like. In other words, we have we've learned all of we've learned how to love. And then when we do that, it's always our job that God gives us to help the person that's just below us that needs a hand up. Like there's always, if you look up, there's always another hand of someone pulling you up, and then we have to look below us to pull up in other words, who's there. And that seems to be the way it works up the ladder in a sense, so, if you're on the other side and you get like these elders that are there on this panel that people go before when I have them on the other side, they're just advanced souls that know more than we do, and they're there to help us, to become more godlike, so, and thank God it's that way, because when you get to heaven, like I say, we don't just sit around playing harps all day, or playing canasta or something, I mean, it's, it's like, there's time to get to work. Okay, now you're at this place, look and see who needs some help. Where are you going to volunteer? Where are you going to work in the heavenly worlds to help, the whole, to help the benefit of the whole? And that's kind of afterlife. I would just love, and I'm so glad it's that way, because to me, that seems perfect. That we just think how bored we'd be, Natasha, if we learned everything and there was nothing more to learn. That's what keeps us going in life, is knowledge and learning and, getting better at something, so.
Just like my 92-year-old mother of heart, she came into my life for 20 years after my mom passed away. That's why she's my mother of heart. But she laid in her bed, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before she passed away. And she says, I'm learning more now than I pretty much have my whole life.
Wow.
Because she was walking so much from this world to the spirit world, and she was communicating and self-observing. She was one of those souls that was willing to self-observe to manage a little bit better. And that is the key to this life. If we can be observant, that we can manage how to walk into the next thing we're going into. Yeah. And it's amazing when we can do that. But she says there's this, she's actually laughing now. She goes, yeah, and then you get to this other side and the whole world opens up for you, she says. And so it's just one of those things. My dad, I hardly ever talk to him because he's so busy. He's one of those messengers. He's the one that gives the message. I can see him shooting from one world to another world, and as he shoots from different, he's just the messenger.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of way he was here. He was just the messenger of word, of energy. He's a chiropractor. He was a messenger of energy. So it's just amazing how we walk and as we do.
Yeah.
But I just want everybody to know that when you use that mantra, what is this here to teach me? And tomorrow, the next moment can be different if I just observe, what is this here to teach me?
Yeah, where it's all about learning.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully today there's be some people that watch us in the future that know a little bit more, just like, we just learned this at one point in our life, now we're just helping others. And then knowing we don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of answers, to things. So if you can help somebody, that's good. Natasha, how come people get a hold of you?
I was just thinking, like-minded or something.
I just saw the time and I went, how can people get a hold of you if they want to have a session? And I have a couple with Natasha, and she's been right on. She's helped some of my friends. And yeah, and so she's the real deal. So if you need some help, and she can help you. So how do they get a hold of you?
You can reach me at angelicclarifications.com, or Natasha at angelicclarifications.com is my email. And I am one that I can help you in wherever, if you have shame, if you have doubt, if you have a struggle with an animal, if you have struggle with yourself, it's like, if you want to find out past life or where can you go in this life, I'm not necessarily a yes or no person. I'm a, this is how you can get there person. So with that, I love to give tools. So with that I just love to help people have grace in their life, because this is all we got, as Kevin says. So Regen, how can somebody get a hold of you?
Well, I have it there on the screen. Visit theafterlife.com. I do regular therapy for people, but where the most help comes is from my clients that are open to doing the spiritual work. And that's where they could find out a lot about their lives by having a past life regression. But most importantly, a life between lives session where you actually go from a past life to where your soul goes between lives. I'll give you a couple of books you could read on the subject. One is called Journey of Souls. Another is called Destiny of Souls. And then we have Wisdom of Souls. I also have a book that I published about my journey to the afterlife and back, where I spent about 3 hours over on the other side asking questions and visiting loved ones. I think about it every day. It was just life-changing. And that's called 3 hours, 33 minutes in heaven. You can get it at my website. It has a link to Amazon, or go direct to Amazon, something like that. I'm also giving away a free book about all the current research being done on reincarnation right now. It's called Reincarnation is Real. So, and sessions could be done on Zoom. I mean, I'm just blown away, but you want to go to a past life, or Ashley Natasha can just right over the phone. You don't have to live in her neighborhood there. She can help you right over the phone. Energy doesn't have a place. It's everywhere, right?
One time I got this image of all the people of this world and all the supporting angels and guides around them. And it was like, wow, I just went, I was speechless, because it was like, no one person is alone.
No.
And all we have to do is, it's our personal belief system that either makes us go forward or helps us go forward, or it slows us down and trips us up.
Right. Don't you think, Natasha, if people just even close their eyes and kind of open their heart and say, God, okay, I've just been told that I'm never alone, that there's an angel watching after me or something, I'm ready, just open my heart and allow me to feel that and to see that and sense that. And you'll be surprised. Just watch out for your dreams and all these little miracles that start happening, because that's the way that they get a hold of you from the other side.
And many times the first thing that will speak to you is the animal kingdom. A butterfly will come, a bee will come, a spider will come, because spider is about making a new life. What life do you want to weave into? What is your Kevin doesn't like spiders. What is your if you get a jumping spider, get ready to jump into your next life. So these animals, even though you don't like them, like me and slugs, but yet at the same time, though, I thank the slug for the message, because it's about slowing down. I'll get there. There's a direction I can go.
Mm-hmm.
Just get to where I want to go, because wherever it goes, it wants to eat. So there's going to be nutrients when I get there. There's going to be something I can chew on when I get there, as long as I just slow down and get where I need to go. So everything has a message. All we have to do is a little bit of observant.
Yeah, and for all this, I've been getting more information on UFOs and aliens and stuff like we were talking about. It's like, I just tell people, just keep an open mind right now, because we have a lot of work to do here with figuring it all out. It's just like, coming out of a closet, our little world, into the higher reality of what really is. And, you know, it's human nature to reject everything at first, but just keep an open mind about this stuff. And we all need to work together to get to this higher level of awareness with now this bigger picture that's coming in. Oh, who's this?
No, I don't mind the slime.
Oh. Talking about
The slug.
I've never, you know, I was just at a restaurant the other day where they had escargot, and my friend says, "Oh, great." And I'm just going, "Oh my God, not at my table, please." You know, it's just something, but
I've had them between my toes, but they'll never go down my throat.
Yeah.
No. So with everybody, I just hope that you know that you're blessed.
Yeah.
Having that perception helps.
Yeah. Hey, Kev. So you here to take us out?
I'm actually here. We're going to do something different. I've got a gentleman on the show tomorrow at 2:00. His name is Michael Coleman, and he's written this song, and you need to hear it. And Natasha, you'll need a tissue.
He missed a ball playing catch with his dad. Forgot to look both ways. A car was coming way too fast. Doctors told his parents they had to make a choice in all the confusion. They heard his voice. Don't cry for me, it's gonna be okay. We will be together side by side one day. I know it hurts, but you must let me go. By the way, I will tell Jesus you said hello.
Kissed him on the cheek, said that last goodbye, leaving that room, asking themselves why, driving home in silence, they held each other's hand, even through the quiet, they heard their little man. Don't cry for me, it's gonna be okay. We will be together side by side one day. I know it hurts, but you must let me go. By the way, I will tell Jesus you said hello.
Gray hair, lines in their face. They lay flowers on his grave. Though they still miss him, they're no longer sad, as they took comfort in his last words. Don't cry for me, it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
We will be together side by side one day.
Side by
I
side.
know it hurts, but you must let me go. By the way, I will tell Jesus
I will tell Jesus
you said hello.
I was just thinking about that as you guys were talking about children. Of crossing over
Yeah.
before their folks, and that's a heartfelt song, and it's really true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there, I got my 2 cents worth in. How about that?
That was good, Kevin. I like that when you have those different songs, and it's nice to help promote people that have these good songs, you know?
Mhm.
Did I tell Regan? I didn't tell you. I told Natasha, but there's a group called MTS Management, and I've booked 12, 13 acts with them to be on the show.
Great.
And most of them are country and jazz and soul music.
Yeah.
So I've got a bunch of music and stuff like
Nice.
that. So it's fun. So
It's always good to have,
you guys put on a hell of a show. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said it's always good to have music as part of your gig, or people watching. Keeps them interested.
It does indeed. Well, you guys put on a hell of a show. You don't need me. I'll just sit here.
Oh, we do need you, Kev.
I totally agree. I like how you bring in a different, it's just that, I don't know.
It's better when you're there, Kev.
That's what my ex-wife used to say too. And look what happened there. So.
Yeah.
No, we love
Natasha,
you.
I wanted to ask you something. I watched, I started Gaia. I guess they have a couple thousand videos on there on stuff about aliens and all the stuff in a subscription thing. And I watched something that it's just, I keep having to expand stuff, but I'm trying to discern what's real and what's not real. If I just gave you the name, it's this guy named Captain Randy Kramer. Do you get anything from Captain Randy Kramer? Anything come to you as far as the character of this guy? I don't know if that's just too off the...
No. I'm tapping into the energy field because he hasn't given me permission to step in, but he's... when somebody, I feel like he's one of those that, when somebody is who's, in a profession and they're really good at that profession, but they don't do very good at other things. So he really feels like I don't want to call him on the spectrum, but he's very smart in one part. He has a lot of truth. Now, how he presents it is another story.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Because have you seen it, Kevin? It's they called the Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia, and he's on there for a lot of episodes, and purportedly he's been with a secret program that the U.S. has. He's been fighting aliens on Mars, and he talks about how ever since childhood, he was supposed to be part of this program. And the part that's really fantastic is he's talking about how when he was 17, he was cloned. They took his energy and his consciousness out of the body, set it aside, had him cloned, put it in there. He went to and spent 20 years on Mars as part of the secret program. But when he came back to Earth, only 15 minutes had passed. And that so his parents didn't even know he was gone and everything. I mean, this sounds really, but.
No. A lot of that is true. That is true. We're getting one point of truly what's going on. Yeah. And if we limit ourselves to think, I keep going back to Men in Black. As goofy as the actors were, if you really look at what the story is, that's where our world is.
Yeah. Well, they put him up. They had a highly known lie detector guy that's world renowned. Give him a test, and the guy said he passed the test. That he says at least he believes that this is what happened. So, but the more I listen to him, the more credible. I mean, he knows everything about some of the secret programs and everything going on. And apparently, they're trying to disclose this to the public now. he's still in that Marine it's a segment of the Marines or something force, and they're allowing him to actually do this stuff because or something. So because it's just, I mean, it's just, again, it's blowing all my gaskets, you know.
Yeah, him being a star person puts, when somebody's in that field of their bodies being more, I'm going to call it, you know, Tesla, you know, those people are more star beings. You know, where like for me, I'm a little bit of everything, and so I've got a little bit of all the knowledge. But they are more, they're more purer star beings. Does that make sense? I'm trying to find the language that would make this sense. So with that he, no wonder he felt like he was kind of over there, because, and when you're working with star beings, they cloak so people can't see who they truly are.
Yeah, he said that's why we don't, like he said, the US has all this technology now, and we've been going to these different planets for a long time, but we've pretty much have the cloaking capability so people don't see the spaceships and stuff. Although he said if you look, like he said, if you look through something that registers heat, like, you know, the heat, the photography that captures heat, you know, he says sometimes he says you could see ships a lot, you know. But anyway, he's got 3 more episodes, and I mean, but he talks about these battles he had, and like on Mars, they're underground, these reptilian kind of creatures, and they like to fight hand-to-hand combat more, even though they have better technology, and you know how he's gotten hit by their tails and hurt, and you know, but he's managed to survive. But he says our technology is still better, you know, as far as fighting the ones that want to fight us over there. So I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Just like us, we all have different regions that are better at something and others that aren't. That's the way space is. That's
the way he said, that there's, in all the different ones, there's good guys and bad guys in each you know, each other race, you know.
Yeah, and individual, you know, it's like I heard one person from the government say, yeah, Russia. And I'm like going, no, talk about the Russian government, not necessarily the Russian people, please. Because it's like, you know, you know, there's this and that, you know, it's bigger than what we know. It's bigger than what we know.
Most of the nations are like, you know, Russia, China, we're all at the table and all know about this, you know, and no one has enough power to bully anybody. It's like everybody has a little piece of the pie, so nobody can kind of bully anybody. Yeah, sorry, but anyway,
it's like all the brains
disclosure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kevin, you might even try getting this guy in your program, Kevin. It's on there.
Excuse the expression, but not a fucking chance.
Maybe it's we're a little ahead of our time here.
Yeah, I just see I'm psychic too, and what I got there was, hey, I think I'm gonna do this thing on Mars and fight, and I don't know.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to give me some verification. You're gonna have to give me some proof that they can travel past the speed of light.
Yeah. Well, he talks about how they do it through wormholes and stuff, you know. So
now the wormholes, I would buy that.
Yeah.
I would buy that if they know where the wormholes are.
But when you see the questions that he's asked and how immediately he has answers, it's like, I don't know. But I became, like I said, either this guy is so well rehearsed and this is some kind of scam, but I have heard on the alien abductions, one of the things they've talked about that made it sound believable is the aliens talk about sometimes when they're working on people, they'll take their consciousness and everything and take it out of their body. They'll work on the body and they'll put their consciousness and everything back. So it's like, okay, now I'm hearing this from different sources and different things, you know. So I don't know. I'm just trying to be open, but I don't want to be hoodwinked or, you know, I don't want to be gullible.
And that's the difference between listening to their information, grabbing what makes sense, and not taking the person telling the message. Take the words that you're hearing and see if they make sense, and the images that you're getting and if they make sense. but not attach it to the person given the message.
Yeah. So if the government comes out in a month and with this report, and if they kind of admit, yeah, we're not alone of some sort, then this topic in a year from now is going to be different than it is right now to me, because now it means now we have to try to talk to people that we've been making fun of for 30 years, that have this communication with the other beings. So,
Did you hear that there's somebody put out they leaked part of the report or something like that, and basically the government is saying, I don't know, you guys figure it out. We don't know nothing.
Okay.
At least that's what this report said, and whether or not that's true. And we're going to talk about that on Wednesday at noon, or 1 o'clock, because UFOs, we're seeing so many sightings now. They've got to be there is something. There's something going on out there. That's true.
Well, at least that's a step. They're saying, okay, they're out there, but we just don't know what they are. That's a step.
Yeah. Well, they're not even going to say that they're out there. They don't want to get down. They don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
If you watch Skywalker Ranch, if you really get in tune with what they're saying, you can see exactly how the star beings, I'm just going to call them that, are manipulating them to do certain things and make it not work for certain things.
What do you mean? You mean some of the technology that we have won't work? Everything goes haywire, and so they can't get the information that
they can't get the information, or there's a major wormhole on that area of the land.
Yeah. And
there's a big starship, or there's a big area where the starships are down there. It's one of the main hubs of the U.S. The other one there's another one over in Russia. There's one up in the poles, at either end of the poles. And then there's one kind of in China too. They're kind of that whole area, because it's so desolate that they can do it there. That's why they kind of keep it that way. And there's one down in Africa, South America and Africa. Each continent has a major hub, but that region, that land was set up to be one of the entrance and exits of the planet. We have little ones like we do in Washington here, and you do down in California. There's little hubs, but the bigger hub, at Skywalker Ranch is one of the bigger hubs, and they're trying to say we're here. You can say that they're trying to show that we're here, but we're not going to give you all the information that you want right now.
Yeah. Well, we're right here watching it all change, Kev. So it's going to be interesting over the next couple of years here.
It truly will be. It truly will be, and to see if any of it's true. But all I can tell you is conspiracy theories that have Tom Hanks eating babies, I don't subscribe to.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be an interesting experiment to see exactly what happens. But
yeah,
you've got, when you can convince 70 million people that vote in this country that they to believe in the conspiracy theory, you can get people to do anything.
I know. See, we have to be more careful of anything. Yeah.
But be careful, because you never know what's the messages inside of those, those titles. I'm not, when I watched Men in Black, I went, holy fuck. A lot of it was true. I mean, there's so much of that was true. Not every cockroach is an alien, but I'm not saying that some of them aren't. Just like when I see a mosquito, some of them I kind of go, oh, I don't want to kill you because you're a fairy. It's amazing how different things are different things.
Personally, guys, I got to tell you, I'm more concerned about the fact that 16 million children are going to go hungry tonight to bed in this country.
Wow.
And we have 395 million guns.
Mm-hmm.
We have more guns than we got people.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So those, we got all kinds of issues, but these are fun to talk about as well. And hopefully they're good. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Are they good aliens or are they bad aliens? Hopefully they're good aliens.
Yes and yes.
Yeah, that's the only part I said. If I believed in everything I was hearing, that we're doing pretty good as far as being able to defend ourselves, from the other aliens so far. So, we don't have to worry about right now being taken over because we can push back pretty good.
Although if you looked at some of the, by the way, Natasha, 95% of the ocean has not been explored.
Yeah.
I would venture to bet that there would be any place that would be, I think, where there
is. I didn't mention that. Sorry. I was going with land, not necessarily, ocean, but yes, ocean.
There could be an entire civilization down there that we don't know about.
In the middle of Earth, there's a total, these are just different made hubs that are towards the surface.
Yeah.
The whole center Earth, that's how they get in through the waters into the center Earth.
See, a lot of people.
I mean, I've heard that from a lot of places too, that they, that there's people been here like the Greys say they were here and they prefer to be under Earth here rather than out amongst us. So that's why we see them coming and going, because they're just going home.
It'd be interesting to find out why they're here. What the hell do they care about a little speck on the outer side of the Milky Way that has got nothing to do with anything?
Well, like on Mars, according to this guy, there's 4 different races, and they're just they one's reptilian, one kind of looks like us a little bit, and one is, I forget.
They all live underground,
like insects, and and they all have their own place, and they all kind of stay to themselves. And
they all live underground?
Yeah, they say because like millions of years ago, they ruined the planet through technology, and so they had to go underground. And so now they're very reserved with technology. They don't just let anything, just to make it for any reason, because it helped destroy them before. So at least that's what this guy's saying on this show. I'm going to listen to more of it tonight and just, So anyway, it's expanding it's making me to keep saying, okay, we can just be open to it, and then try to have my BS meter up and see what's real and not real,
And that's the trick is discernment. That, for me, I didn't read a lot of books, but I filtered a lot of things. What was a truth for me? And you can feel it in the vibration. You can feel it in a vibration, and sometimes it sounds wonky the way that they're telling it, but if you can discern the whole message, it's amazing how things can kind of come down into a cleaner truth.
Yeah, and I mean, when I'm doing sessions now for my clients, if I have some that are open to it, like that are UFO buffs or something, I might say, well, hey, here, I've got your list of things here, but while we're over there, would you mind asking, because we're always taught to not put any of our stuff into our client's session, but I mean, if they're open to it, then like I did have a few of them ask about COVID, and they were curious too. So they asked, we got information, but it'd be nice to ask them, can they just say, I mean, will these elders and that people go before, will they just, if we said, hey, is there life on Mars? Are they underground? If they said, yeah, then okay. That's just more information. Or if they said no, then, I don't know. Well, we'll see.
Well, it'd be interesting. But Natasha, just out of curiosity, do they taste like chicken?
Oh, Kevin, what he did say that made me think of something you said, Kevin.
Oh.
He said that anyway, the creatures on Mars, they were being attacked by the draconians, who are the lizard people, I guess, and they had small ships come down, and they'd been obliterated. So all of the animal kind of creatures there used their power or something, and they pulled the giant ship that was up there and had it smashed to the ground into 1 million pieces. And what was left, this guy who said he was on Mars, they went into the parts that were left and killed everything else that was there. but he said the smell, like the stuff that they ate was like rotten meat. And that's the way they like to eat. They like eat. It's like the food that they ate was in a, like what we would call in a putrefied kind of sense. And he says, even though they have these spacesuits, he says they're not, you still, if you're there for a few minutes, you're going to get a whiff of that, in your suit. And he said it was just stunk. It was horrible. So, and didn't you say something about that to Kev, to say, hey, if they're on a spaceship, ask them how it smelled?
I may have at one point. I was probably being either tongue in cheek or just making a bald faced lie or something. I don't know. So anyway,
okay, guys.
The interesting thing is, guys, just so people know that the conversations that we had normally, this would be off the air, but the conversation that we have off the air is as entertaining as what we have on the air.
I know.
It's it's still on the air? Because it's still going. It's
still going. That's I never turned it off. We still have a listener.
Oh no.
Kathy is still with us, and I dare say that she's probably giggling at our stupidity, but she seems to be smarter than all of us. So in any event,
we're just we're all here to learn,
Yeah. And that's the thing is about finding your own personal truth. So it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Well, you guys have yourself a good evening. I have to go, Kevin. I have to go cash a check now. Huh?
We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
All
you
right.
guys have a great night.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Kathy, for tuning in. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.